Well, thank you. President, actually it's a pretty hard act to follow, to stand up here and try and get you all to laugh after all that singing. So, can you all hear me? That's the main thing. I can't hear anyone. I'm deaf, remember. Okay, now it's a long time since I've done this, but it's really good today to see so many partners here, all with their purses. And one of the things about Sergeant Session, you'll all be aware, it's a major part of the club's funding, and on Christmas, not only is it a time to be generous, but it's a time to be trebly generous. So please get that paper money flapping. I have to start on a negative note. There is no dobbing in. I have not received one phone call, card, letter, fax, email, dobbing anyone in at all. And since I usually rely on that for half of my material, this session's only going to be lasting about 10 or 20 minutes rather than the normal 40. So I think every one of you could start by putting something in the sunshine box. Peter McLaren, are you here? Oh, that's a shame. Peter can always be relied on to dob somebody in. Denzel Brown, you're here. How are you, Denzel? Now, Denzel can usually be relied on too for dobbing somebody in. He's a man of the cloth. He hears a lot of confessions and usually he passes them on. So, not one from you, Denzel, and I think I'm finding your table today, so the rest of your table can pay up for your sins. And I was starting to analyse why there was none of this dobbing in that there used to be, and I thought perhaps it had something to do with the lowering of the average age of the club. So Jennifer Little, you're fine for being youthful. And your table for the pleasure of your company. Anyway, very poor show, I thought. In fact, it was so poor, I thought I ought to actually blame the sergeant. So I thought I knew who the head of the sergeants' committee was, but I wasn't absolutely sure. So I went to the website to find out. Well, I'll tell you, you cannot find who the sergeant is on that website. There is no way you can do it. And now, Francis Weavers is not here today, I don't think, because I was going to have him up here and a very large fine for that deficiency. The only mention I could find on the website, Kerry Prendergast, you're here somewhere, aren't you? Kerry, where are you? Stand up, Kerry, please. That's right. Very attractive hat, by the way. Kenzo, is it? Anyway, Kerry, I find, is in charge of almost everything. She's in charge of welcoming, introductions, attendance, speakers. No, I'm not. This is not. I see you're in charge of inductions as well. Is that home births? How's that? Hey, I reckon I should get a fine for that. It's really good. But finally, you're also in charge of sergeants, so if I hadn't been sergeant today, I would have immediately rung the sergeant and told them how much you spent on clothes last Friday in Melbourne. So I think your table ought to be fine. Put something in the box to help you pay for it. Grant Urich. Now you are up on your feet, Grant. This is sergeant session. Please remember, everyone, that these sergeant sessions are all about recognition. If your name's mentioned, up on your feet. Now, Grant, I know you're not to blame. You were taking orders from above, obviously, for this appalling state of affairs with the dobbing in. So I thought it would be good, though, to say thank you for the work that you've done this year in the Sergeants' Committee. It is a major fundraiser for the club, as you know, and I'd like everyone who's run a Sergeant session this year to be on their feet, please. There, as you can see, it's a pretty major part of the club, and I think all of you who've done these things will realise how much work goes into them. So look at the people standing, applaud that you didn't have to this year. I'm sure you will next year. And please, everyone that hasn't standing up, please put some money in the box. Now, what I did discover on the website is there are some ads. Clearly, we've gone commercial, and actually, if I remember back far enough, I think I actually contributed some ads to the original thing, but they're no longer there. But I'm still receiving an invoice and paying it. Perhaps that's what being generous is all about. Anyway, Nigel Gould, are you here today, Nigel? You're not here? No, an exemplary ad gives $100 back to the club for everyone that stays at his lodge in the Marlborough Sounds. I was a bit disturbed with one, Stephen Brown. Could you get on your feet? Where are you, Stephen? Your ad, I'm surprised your ad was approved by the Law Society. You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
It wasn't.
Maybe that's the problem. Stephen Brown's ad, if you hadn't seen it, says, "From arbitration to establishing trusts, we get it right the first time," presumably implying that every other lawyer doesn't. Can't keep a good lawyer down. Anyway, so that was the ads. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do was, actually I'll leave that out because it's too long, so we won't do that one. I'm going to talk now very quickly about a very important affair. When I said that nobody had given me any information prior to the meeting, I was actually telling a slight untruth. Bill Shaw came up to me and he said that next month he and his wife are having their 65th wedding anniversary. So I think that's not only worth a clap, but I think worth a very heavy contribution to the Sunshine Box. It's Bill's favourite charity, remember? And he was the man who started the Armani fashion in the club, remember? Anyway, you'll all be thinking about Christmas gifts. And for those of you ladies who are wondering what to buy your dearly beloveds, socks is the answer. Socks is always the answer. No man will be unhappy unwrapping a fresh pair of socks. Now, the thing is about socks is that nowadays you've got to buy happy socks. Now, I'll give you an example of it. Those are happy socks, right? That's what you've got to be looking for. Now, that last time I got cramp in my leg just doing that. I'll try this leg. Oh. No ballet dancer. Anyway, back to the happy socks. This is really important. The latest research has uncovered some remarkable facts about socks. William Somerville, could you stand up for us, please? Now, William, do you know that this research, I was just reading this morning, coloured socks can make you more talkative. What colour are your socks? Black. Don't give him any coloured socks, Jackie. You know it. Now, Wayne Morgan, where are you? You're over there, I can see you. Now, apparently they also give accountants personality. What colour socks have you got on? He's a good man, he can take a joke. Anyway, Peter Cullen, are you here?
I think you're making this up.
Actually, I don't care what colour your socks are. Sit down. No, actually, stay standing up, Peter. This is another thing, not too traditional at Sergeant Sessions, but Peter, as you know, runs these wonderful breakfasts regularly throughout the year. Many of us go to them, and many of us are indebted to him for doing that. He paid for them for years and years out of his own pocket. He's finally come to his senses, but for doing that, it seemed to me appropriate that since his favourite charity is also this Rotary Club, all of you who attend those breakfasts should put some money into the Sunshine Box and thank Peter for it. Now, just to finish, I thought actually a story that Peter did tell me about a recent experience he had would be a good note to finish on, a very Christmassy sort of note. As some of you will know, Peter does have a mansion over in the Wairarapa, and he also has a Rolls Royce. He keeps these both well hidden from his clients, as you might imagine. Anyway, a few weekends ago, he was out in the Wairarapa. He decided to go for a Sunday drive. He's driving along the road, and he saw two blokes on the side of the road eating grass. And he thought, that's a bit strange. Being curious, he stopped and he said, look, you chaps, why are you eating grass? And one of them said, well, look, we just don't have any money. We can't buy food. And Peter said, oh, look, hop into my car. I'll take you home and feed you. And so they hopped into the car. It was very nice. Rolls Royce, sat back, waited for food, drove up the road, and about half a mile further on, went round a corner, and this time there was a slightly larger group, a couple of men, a couple of women, children. And Peter stopped and said, why are you eating grass? And they said, well, look, we've just got no money for food. We're reduced to eating grass. He said, look, hop in the car. He said, I'll take you back to my place and feed you. And so they all hopped in the car, and by this time, as you can imagine, the old roller was full to the gunnels. So he turned around, headed back to the mansion. And on the way there, one of the men said, look, this is really generous of you. Lots of cars have passed us today and nobody's picked us up. And Peter said, oh, you'll love my place. He said, the grass is about a foot long.